Today we're going to talk about the JDM B18C SIRG and the Type R and the differences between them. Alright, so a lot of people get confused when you talk about the JDM B18C. One is the GSR engine and the other one's the Type R, obviously. The reason why Japan didn't do the whole B18C1, B18C2 thing is because that was for each individual country. So if you go to the US, it's going to be B18C1 for GSR and B18C2 is for another country. B18C4, I believe, is for the UK, correct me if I'm wrong, or Australia. I can't remember exactly which one. But they go to individual countries, and the B18C5 is for the US Type R, and the B18C6 is for some other country. I don't know. I'm not an expert on each individual one, but you get the point. So how do you tell the difference between the two? It's kind of easy, but for people who are looking for JDM motors who don't know much about engines, there's some key differences that I wanted to point out and things that you want to be aware of, because importers like to alter things and make them appear that they are something else when in reality they're not. Be aware of that when you go searching for your engine. The GSR or the SIRG B18C, it's going to have a black valve cover. That's for starters. So if it has a red valve cover, chances are it's going to be a Type R. But then again, anybody can paint a valve cover. So if it's red and you're not sure and you want to check into it further, the next thing I would recommend that you check is the intake manifold. The one on the left is going to be the SIRG engine, and the one on the right is going to be the Type R engine. Now, what I usually call them is the curl over and curl under intake manifolds, because the GSR intake manifold, if you're looking at it from the side, kind of goes over like that, so it curls over, and the Type R and everything else kind of curls upwards like that. So just curl over, curl under, that's how I differentiate the two, if I'm just talking to just general people and they don't know the differences. If they swap the intake manifold, which sometimes they can do, because it's a bolt-on object, next thing you would check is another bolt-on object, and that is the header. So the header, people kind of get confused on this too because they sound the same, but if you actually look at the code or the number, you'll see what I'm talking about. So I'm going to put that up as I'm talking. The GSR or the SIRG engines, the JDM versions, have what is known as a 4-2-1 header. So it's going to go from 4 tubes to 2 tubes to just 1 tube that'll connect to the catalytic converter. So it's actually a two-piece system. It's a two-piece header, and it can be detached just like the LS from the, I think it's like the mid pipe or the B pipe. I don't know what exactly it's called, but you guys will correct me in the comment section below. And that basically is related to the GSR engine. Now the Type R, on the other hand, is a 4-to-1 header. Now before I go any further, there's a lot of people out there who like to call it headers. It's not headers, guys. It's header. It's one header. I'm one of those people that likes to correct people on this, because it's incorrect to say that you want to buy headers for your car when you're only buying one header. Now V6 and V8s come with 2 headers. So, I think it's plural. So you say headers with an S at the end. Hondas, 4 cylinders, 1 header per seat. So, now all of the above that I listed can be altered, changed, and modified to mislead people when they're going to look for these engines, but there will always be one thing that you can always count on to determine whether or not the JDM engine is in fact GSR or Type R. That's what I meant to say. So the key difference that you want to look for is if it says PR3 on it. PR3 is the B16 type cast number head code, or whatever you want to call it, for the head. And basically that's just the code that people use to determine what type of head or what type of whatever it is for Honda stuff, Honda engines, blocks, whatever. There's P72, P73, PR3, P30, P28. There's a bunch of codes, right? But the head codes are specific to each type of engine. Now, the guys who import these engines, I don't really think that they tamper with all that. They're not going to swap heads on each other, because that would they're just losing money on that, you know. Why would they put a Type R head on a GSR? It's the same thing, you know. So not exactly. Don't think that, you know, I just meant, you know, when you put a PR3 head on a GSR, it's instantly a Type R. No. But they're not going to do that, because they're going to lose money on that, and the PR3 Type R heads are worth way more than the GSR, so there's no point in going to that extent to mislead the customer. So, I'm going to show you an example, because I have a PR3 head right behind me. It's not a Type R PR3 head, but they are made of the same cast. B16s and the Type R heads are the same exact thing, except the Type R head is ported and polished for the 95s, I believe, the 95 Integra Type Rs. So I'm pretty sure they have other work done to it, because if they're the same exact head, that'd be a little weird. But I highly doubt that. Don't quote me on that. I'm not an expert on everything. So let me just show you right now. Right here, see it? PR3. So this will be your header side, or your exhaust manifold side. You can tell because of all the burn marks. That's how you usually indicate whether or not it's the header or intake side. But don't worry about that. Ignore that. The header will be on it when you buy the engine, hopefully, unless you buy a long block. But that's what you look for. It's going to be right here in this corner. And over here, let's see. I forget what these numbers mean, but somebody, you know, let me know what these numbers mean in the comment section below. Alright, so that concludes this video on the differences between the B18C, SIRG, and Type R. Hope you guys found this video informative and helpful. If you wouldn't mind, click the subscribe button and click that little bell so you get notified whenever I make these types of videos. If you enjoyed these videos, leave a like so I know to make more, because when people don't like, you know, I just assume, well, I guess that was a bad video. So, that's the end of the video, and it's time to cut to the outro. Cue the intro. Bum 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 bum. Da 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 da.